On June 30th, 2022, 17-year-old Addison Bethea, her 23-year-old brother Rhett, and two of Rhett's friends were out snorkeling for scallops off of Keaton Beach in Taylor County, Florida. They had taken Rhett's boat pretty far offshore, but they were in shallow water, only about 5 to 6 feet or less than 2 meters, and they had been in this final location for about 20 minutes snorkeling around when Rhett and Addison decided to swim back to the boat to get some water. As they began to swim, Rhett was a few body lengths out in front of Addison when all of a sudden Addison started to feel something tugging at her right calf. And it tugged her so hard that it pulled her under the surface of the water. Now initially she thought it was her brother or one of her brother's friends pulling a prank on her, but then she realized those guys are out in front of her, so it couldn't have been that. And then just as she was coming to understand what was actually happening to her, her right calf was released, and then the massive body of a 9 to 10 foot or 3 meter long, presumably bull shark, came swimming up beside her on her left-hand side before lunging at her again and then grabbing her by the right thigh. Now, Addison began to fight immediately with this shark, and then she screamed out for her brother. When Rhett turned around, he no longer saw her sister. She had been dragged under the surface of the water again. All he saw was this massive tail thrashing around and then the water boiling red with blood. Well, Rhett wasted no time. He swam back towards where his sister had just been, and by the time he got there, Addison popped back up to the surface, still in the shark's mouth. She had her arm wrapped around the shark as far as she could, but it was so big she couldn't nearly get her whole arm wrapped around it. And she's fighting with the shark as hard as she can. She's punching it. She's trying to gouge its eyes out. When neither of these things work, she reached in its mouth and she's trying to pry its mouth off of her thigh. But this was just tearing up her hands. Well, Rhett, when he got there, then he begins to fight with this shark. He's punching it, and finally, somehow, fighting their hearts out, the two of them together are able to beat this shark off of Addison. When they do, Rhett, he grabbed his little sister and he hugged her to his chest and he began to swim. While this attack was occurring, a boater who just happened to be in the area, he had heard all of this commotion and Addison screaming. He came zooming over in his boat. When he got there, Rhett hoisted her up to him. He grabbed her, pulled her in the boat, quickly put some kind of tourniquet on her leg. When Rhett got up on the boat, he, who was a firefighter, EMT, he saw the massive damage that was done to her leg. Her whole right thigh was gone. It looked like a half-eaten chicken wing. Her right calf was gone, and he knew that he needed to readjust that tourniquet, so he made it a little higher and tighter, securing it, controlling the bleeding.